and welcome to the Punished for Protecting Live broadcast with your host, Francesca Amato, national expert in the Americans with Disabilities Act, domestic violence and child abuse advocate, best-selling author, and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. We welcome all of our viewers watching on Facebook via Punished for Protecting. Hello and welcome to the Punished for Protecting Live broadcast with your host, Francesca Amato, national expert in the Americans with Disabilities Act, domestic violence and child abuse advocate, best-selling author, and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. We welcome all of our viewers watching on Facebook via Punished for Protecting News and the CPS News Network. If you're watching on YouTube at Punish No More and Free to Protect, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can also find Punish for Protecting News on Rumble. Now, without further ado, here is your host, Francesca Amato.
Hello and good evening and welcome everyone. Forgive my voice tonight to the live broadcast of Punish for Protecting News, and thank you no matter where you're watching this from. I have a very power-packed show tonight, but I have a lot of guests this evening. I have Jandy, Hannah. I have dogs barking in the background because I told my son not to come through the doors while we were live, and he waited till 8 o'clock sharp to come through the doors. Go figure. Never fails. 15-year-olds, you know how that is. So I have several guests tonight, and I have Rhonda and Bethany. And basically, we have a power-packed show of mothers, warriors that are here that have been fighting in the trenches with the latest news that has been happening across our country, and the recent news of Catherine Youssef. I'm so sorry. And everything that has been happening, the fact that that has gotten millions upon millions of views with what has occurred there, a recent arrest of another mother, protective moms doing what comes normal, like breathing, okay? And then all of a sudden, you're told you can't breathe in or out unless we tell you you can breathe in or out, or when you can breathe in or out. Okay, things that people cannot adjust to. It's not possible. And so families and mothers are feeling not seen and not heard. And so tonight, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring out my guests one by one onto the stream. We have Jandy, we have Rhonda, and we have Bethany. And I am just so happy to have these amazing warriors here tonight with lots to share, lots and lots to share. We definitely want to, and I'm sorry about the dogs. I'm really sorry about that. They did get quiet, thank God. I know that this was a title I wanted to come up with tonight because I feel like, matter of fact, I was talking to Hannah and I was like, Hannah, put this down. And she typed it in real quick for me. I was driving. Not seen and not heard. Can you all kind of touch on that? Would somebody like to touch on that first? That what mothers and women are not feeling seen nor heard. Would somebody like to start with that? Maybe
I
Jandy?
can, if you want.
Hannah, go ahead.
I do think it's appropriate for sure. I think well, there are multiple things I want to say that they're colliding in my brain at the same time. For one, I think even when we're heard, we're not listened to. So it's because when you listen to someone, you do something about what they're saying. And what happens to protective mothers in family court is what they say gets acted on in a negative way. And this is actually, obviously you and I, Francesca and I, Rhonda and I, all these women and I have talked about this a bunch. I was explaining this actually and I'm going to be really open about my own personal stuff tonight. I was explaining this to a newly appointed guardian ad litem in my own case, which is to me the worst nightmare. Okay. Because of my past experience with guardians ad litem and the cycle of things that occur as you unknowingly release the information sets to these people and then they start attacking you. So I actually was just very open with this guardian ad litem and told her every single thing I disclosed every bit of proof I laid out, blew back on me in a way that was completely counterintuitive. Nothing made any sense. Every bit of, and I explained why Punish for Protecting is called Punish for Protecting, because every bit of action I took to protect my child punished me. So that the not seen, not heard for sure. I mean, I was always reticent to use the term patriarchy before, but now I feel more comfortable saying it. It really is true. It's every dad gets applauded when they change a diaper, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. If the kids they're alive and they have diapers on, and people are not walking around barefoot. Everybody's praising and celebrating. When mothers are expected, as we always have been, to do the things that we do plus 9 other things. And when we fail at one thing, or even if we criticize the father, everything goes off.
Totally
everything
switch.
comes back on us. So
I've seen dads have them for 5 minutes and do absolutely nothing for them, and then set the dinner table with a salad and a pizza, and woo, I fed my kids tonight. Meanwhile,
but look, that's all fine. I mean, but if the scales are not balanced, and I'm not saying every situation the scales are balanced. They're not. I mean, there's men, there's women, we're different. That's why we come together to raise families. That's what our intentions were. I'm sure everyone on this call had that intention when they got married, or when they developed a partnership with someone, and then they decided to have a baby. That was all our attention. It wasn't like, all right, let's see how we can do this, and then I'll run away with the child and create a bunch of chaos. Like, none of us intended that. So the way that this whole thing has been set up, and the way it repetitiously goes in these cycles, it really is like a societal destruction. I mean, that's what I'll say. And I'm in Virginia. Francesca knows that. Rhonda knows that. And we are living in, I would say that it's dark ages, or like behind the times, but I don't think there was ever a time where any of this was acceptable. So I'm not sure what to say, because motherhood has always been a precious thing. It doesn't mean fatherhood wasn't, but this is the topic we're on. This is the thing that's under attack, motherhood. I've said in a couple of broadcasts, I wasn't sure if it was women only or if it was also mothers, but I can tell you for sure, or whether it was one or the other, but I can tell you right now, mothers in particular, there is a hatred of motherhood. I don't know what the seeds of it are, but it's very wicked, and it's very serious, because the whole undergirding of society was built on motherhood, and a good father knows that. It doesn't undermine a father. The reasons we can breastfeed, the reasons we carry babies, that men go off to war for years at a time. God set this up with this in mind. And the court said, no, everybody's the same. You have a newborn baby, and we're splitting the time. Like, the whole thing is just a complete inversion of reality. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but not seen, not heard to me means you're invisible. Everything you do is going to hurt you. Every sincere thing you do is going to hurt you. And no one's going to take what you say and take action that is in concert with your concerns and your fears and your disclosures. That's where the problem is.
I deal with mothers all over the nation, wonderful human beings that do not have criminal backgrounds or violent backgrounds or drug backgrounds or any backgrounds like that. Many of them are just really professional, kind-hearted, good people. And the stories are exactly the same.
Yeah.
And here's the issue, and I'd like Bethany to touch on this in a second. Here's the issue. When a mother reports abuse, and we've heard this over and over again, because your family court involved, they literally tell you, dismiss that case, drop that case. There's something mentally wrong with her. She's lying. These are false allegations. The reason you're not in the relationship 9 times out of 10, 99.9999999% of the time in family court is because there was some form of abuse that occurred in the relationship. Does that mean that some women aren't abusive? Yes, I've met them. But the overall bulk of the women that I deal with, and it's just on a day-to-day, 7-day a week, I should say 8-day a week, okay, for years, I have witnessed this, so I don't care what statistics tell you, because you can't trust this, some of the statistics that are out there because of the father's rights movement. You cannot trust them because of the scam of the parental alienation lie, which, Bethany, that's your floor right there. Please touch on that.
Well, I think it all goes back to the demise of the family and where this country has gone in terms of their morals and ethics and everything else, and where it's touched. And this goes back to about 1997, to a couple of main acts that were passed in our government, with DCSF and everything else. And when the AFCC, who is behind all of this, but the AFCC is a father's rights special interest group, that was started in the 60s in California. Once they started this legislation to essentially ensure that they weren't going to have to pay alimony, child support, yada, 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 none of their assets were going to be stripped, then the movement immediately pushed towards attacking mothers. And it goes to their credibility. It goes back to Miss Catherine, what her incredibly unethical attorney is saying now about her being crazy and mentally ill and mentally unfit. It's the classic textbook attack on women that's been going on since the beginning of time, to where any woman that cries she's been raped, abused, her children are being raped, abused, whatever it is, she's crazy, she's deranged, et cetera, et cetera. It goes back to how the DSM was created, who created the DSM, who created all the mental health, symptoms and, whatever they are out there of hysteria and all of that. It was all created by incredibly toxic men who wanted to silence women and who wanted to control women. And you're seeing it played out right now in courts. But my thing is, I also work with men, and I know there's a lot of men who, on the flip side of this as well, because there's a lot of mentally ill people in this country. And now this is just being weaponized against everybody. And that's the thing that's just really disgusting. That seen and not heard, to me, is just this complete overreach of the American family court system and the AFCC, and just 100% trying to control every American's life and trying to control every child in this country, and what we can and cannot do as a way to extort money in order to line their pockets to continue with this Ponzi scheme that is very well known now as the alienation industry. And that is exactly what all of this is. This is not science. This is not anything that has any kind of ethical behavior behind it. This 100% is a giant Ponzi scheme being inflicted by a special interest group known as the AFCC, who's been investigated for tax fraud, evasion, and all kinds of stuff. And all the individuals acting on behalf of the AFCC who are continuing to push this unethical and debunked, unfounded parental alienation syndrome legal defense is guilty of egregious crimes against humanity, because they know what they are doing is wrong, but they're doing it intentionally to inflict the most pain on the protective parent and to ensure that that child is going to be ruined for life, because ultimately ruined children continue to feed the system. And it's all about feeding the system, with more abused children to keep lining their pockets and to keep them in business, because DCSFS or DCSF CPS was not really created to protect children. It was created to ensure that we can make money off of our children and off of their pain and not help them.
That's right. That's 100% right. And I couldn't have said it better. It's excellent. I love the way you put that out there, because it just clears it up. It clears it up for people. Before I even have Jandy and Rhonda speak, I'm going to go ahead and play this multi-viral in the millions. And I'm so grateful to this man. I love him. I've been watching him for a while. He defends women. You see, we love men, fellas out there. Okay, so don't even start with the we're women hating, He-Man club nonsense, because that's not the case at all. We believe in structure. We believe in marriage. We believe in headship. We believe in all of that stuff, not in the weird way, okay, in a way that protects women so they can thrive, okay, and that they can raise children in a safe and healthy environment and stop torturing women that have been abused, and they're trying to protect their children. So because we love men, we are going to honor this man right now.
These people colluded with each other to make sure Catherine Casanov could not see her children ever again. In audio recordings released by Catherine before her death, Dr. Susan Adler, in a phone conversation, admits the children miss their mother.
Yes, they're sad they don't see you. That is true. They are sad. But sometimes that's what life deals us, and we have to work it out. But we find, ways of joining together with the people that we can when we can.
Catherine claims that Dr. Adler had a personal relationship with the children's attorney, Carol Most, and the custody evaluator, Mark Abrams. Both of them paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by Alan Casanov. And don't forget, Judge Louis LaBelle had a personal relationship with Abrams also, so close that he officiated his wedding. These people were friends, and they're the ones that helped decided that this man you're about to see, Alan Casanov, should have full custody of his children.
Open the gun. Shut up, Alan! Alan, you goddamn dog for me on the floor! Did someone tell you to take him out? Did someone tell you? Well, you know better! Get up there! I'll deal with it because no one else does!
I took away your piggy bank. Next thing I'm going to do is call Grandma and Grandpa and tell them not to give you birthday presents for the next year.
These people took Catherine's children away despite the evidence showing that they missed their mother. These people took Catherine's children away despite a report from a social worker stating that the children feared their father if they mentioned how much they missed their mother. Alan Casanov punished his children if they said anything good about their mother. These people used loopholes in the law that did not allow Catherine to represent herself in hearings where they took away her children, where they kicked her out of her own home. These people decided that Alan was a better parent despite affidavits from friends and family stating that the children feared their father.
I don't want to go with that crazy guy! I am not ever going with him.
These people were paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by Alan Casanov, and they colluded with each other that ultimately led to the death of Catherine Casanov. These people took her children away with no evidence. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? I have seen nothing presented by anybody. Catherine was a danger to her children. Show me! Show me something! Where's your videos, Alan? Where are they at? Look at me. I know you're watching me. Is this you, Alan, messaging me through your children's accounts? Or are you going to continue to let your girlfriend talk for you and message boards all over the internet? Your girlfriend who claims that she highly respects Catherine in one post she made, but yet in this email, she calls her a loser. Look here, Alan, I've put aside my usual content because the millions of women that follow me, they are Catherine Casanov. Every single message I get from every single follower, they say they are Catherine Casanov. It's their story. It's their abuse. It's their brokenness that is being told before the world. They have been waiting for this day. They have been waiting for this moment. They have been waiting for everyone to finally pay attention to what's happening behind closed doors. And they are sick of the injustice. Catherine made the ultimate sacrifice. She did it for justice. And I'm going to be the thorn in your side until you people are in jail.
And with that, I want to say the judges need to go to jail. The judges need to go to jail.
They
I
all
said
need
it
to
over
go
and
to
over
jail.
and over. The judges need to go to jail. The judges are torturing women and children. The judges are doing it. It's even CPS workers, as much as I can't stand child predator services. The judges are stamping and signing these disgusting orders where they don't care. They don't listen. I've heard judges say I could be on vacation. I could be sitting out by my pool. They don't care what's happening. Okay.
This is
And here's what,
treason.
Rhonda, I
This
want
is
you to talk,
100%
Rhonda.
treason.
It's 100% treason, and I'm going to talk about something in a minute. But Rhonda, because there's some videos I didn't get to watch them all as we went live. I guess he's displaying the videos. Shame on you, because let me tell you something right now. That woman is not here to defend herself, but we're all here to defend her together. Okay? And I watched part of that video, and she's a mother trying to get her child to discipline. Okay, and do her homework and get the pen and do your work. Okay, you can't compare that. The children were not afraid of her; they were afraid of him. Okay, so if a person raises their voice, listen, I'm a New Yorker and I'm Italian and I'm as kind as can be. And I have a lot of love in my heart for everybody. But I'm going to tell you something. If I had to, and we were joking earlier, I could scare the skin off of your body if I raise my voice to a certain level. That doesn't mean I'm abusive or anything. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. When a narcissist gets under your skin and continues to abuse you like that man did to this woman, to the point that she took this measure, and the judge that actually made these disgusting orders, I got chills up and down my body. Okay, you should go to jail and you should be arrested for the rest of your life for murdering this woman, because that's what you did. Okay, and that's what you're doing to multiple women and children, the most vulnerable on this planet. We shouldn't have to be fending for ourselves. Okay, if men want to be men, they should be like the man that we just showed just now. Okay, we shouldn't have to be fending for ourselves the way we do. It's disgraceful. And you cannot, I don't care unless she's on steroids, compare the strength of a physical woman to the strength of a physical man. You cannot. And when I hear that these men are getting abused, I want to throw up in a bucket. I'm so sick and tired of it, okay? And I'm not saying that there's not abusive women out there, but there's no comparison, and the true statistics will show that. You're supposed to protect women and provide, okay? Not try to breastfeed them, for heaven's sake. So, Rhonda, did you want to go ahead and talk about that?
About the video?
Yes, some of these nonsense videos, or whatever you want to talk about.
The video that I saw briefly before the show started tonight it looked like one of the girls had ended up missing and Catherine couldn't find her. So I think some of her reaction was coming from that motherly fear of like, oh my God, where's my child? And she was just reacting to that. Like that video in and of itself, there was some substance to what the child did, that she was actually parenting. That's the thing. She was parenting. And all those other ones we've seen with Alan, where was the issue that needed to be addressed? She was at least addressing an issue. But about everything in general, I think that, not seen, not heard, it begins as a progression. And I've said this a million gazillion times. It's the public perception of mothers supposedly having the upper hand in court, which is a complete myth. First of all, I can't say this enough. 3.8% of the cases that end up in family court, those are typically the DV cases. The public perception that mothers have the upper hand in court, they'll throw out statistics, but those statistics are based off of consent agreements where normal, caring, loving parents actually come together and agree and typically assume traditional gender roles. Those are the cases where both parents are cooperating and working for the best interest of the child. The cases that we talk about are not those cases at all. Our cases, and the 3.8% that are wind up in court and go to trial, are typically the DV cases where the abuser has to have control of his possession. Not seen, not heard. Women aren't supposed to be seen or heard, because why? We are the possessions. We were in the relationship. And the kids are what they're striving to possess now. Children's feelings do not matter. And Hannah, when you were talking about the guardian ad litem, I purposely shut my mouth, because every time I would bring up an issue, all she ended up doing was finding a way to prove me wrong. She would go to great lengths to prove me wrong and protect the other party. She wasn't acting in the best interest of the child. You can't change my mind that these guardians aren't there to cover up the abuse in a lot of cases. And that drives me insane. If you can avoid getting a guardian ad litem involved, please do. And please avoid an evaluation at all costs.
Absolutely.
Those are the two, they're like death strikes in a case.
It's collusion.
I always tell people that, is there a guardian in the case? No. Do you think I should get one? I'm like, no.
No, it's collusion.
First of all,
it's racketeering at its finest.
These guardian ad litems and child attorneys for children, okay, they read a handbook. It's the same handbook in every state. It's not they don't go by, if they went by the attorney for child handbook under this, in New York it's 7.2, but depends on what state you're in, they would not put children with abusers, but they're told mothers are liars and mothers are crazy. Right. So we're all crazy liars, and don't listen to us. That's what we're doing. We're falsely accusing. Meanwhile, you can have a stack this big of evidence and they don't care.
Well, that's what they're being taught by the AFCC. And that's
right, and the AFCC undergirds all of it. They undergird all of these approaches. They have relationships with our family wizard and all these other things.
Yes, they created it and they own it. It's another way they embezzle.
Right, and every one of us, and they're all members. Even the co-parenting counselor from the first time I'm going to say litigated this, because we went to trial with, I wasn't allowed to have evidence or witnesses, so that's obviously not a trial.
Every case. Every case.
So I literally was a sitting duck. But they all are members, like they do. And I've called the AFC. We all have the same threads of personality. We all have like offended everybody and called everybody. And I say offended everybody because they're like, people don't question me. How dare you? Then here we are, grown women. The guardian ad litem for my first case, which is the same child. I had a brand new newborn baby who my ex was trying to take from me. We're all grown women. Like, I'm 46 years old. I have this woman who's a peer of mine. So-and-so wants to know if they can see the child for his birthday. I'm like, I don't need you to tell me that or talk to me about that. And I never edited myself. I mean, I wasn't rude to anybody, but it's like, thanks, but no thanks. I suddenly need you to walk me through being a parent. Get out of here.
It's a ridiculous bunch of bull.
It's such an absurd concept, but they walk through it with total impunity. They walk through it with total, well, I'm going to hold my tongue on that one, because my guardian ad litem is still coming after me from last time. And Francesca knows I have been beside myself the last few days. What's that?
Piece of crap, and I hope she's watching.
Well, my former guardian ad litem, Hethel Chawla from Norfolk, Virginia, or I don't know where she's from, but I'm in Virginia, is a criminal as far as I'm concerned. She didn't follow the rules of evidence. She didn't follow the prescription of her job. She heard voice messages and conversations, saw text messages that would make your head blow off your body. I was being stalked. I was being threatened. And I had an infant, mocked for like, I'm going to take this baby from you and I'm going to laugh in your face. And she's like, I don't think that rises to the level of abuse. I'm like,
they all say the same thing.
I know. I'm like, don't say that phrase to me again. And this is another thing. This is like a trigger word. When people say they have concerns, the word concern makes my ears smoke. So, I mean, the whole thing repeats itself. Like you said, Francesca, it's this revolving wheel of insanity. And then they started signing you. Isn't Miss Morris just a little too emotional? That was the thing they used to say about me. I'm like, is that a diagnosis? I just had a baby. I'm 43.
They use dark psychology to manipulate you in the interviews, because remember, less than 1% of the custody cases end up into this extent. So this shows you the dark psychology, that's psychopathy that is behind these individuals. So these guardian ad litems and these custody evaluators and such, they are very well versed in dark psychology. So they bait and switch you, and they get you.
They're narcissists.
They manipulate you. They implant things in your children's mind. I have actual audio recordings of children in these sessions, and I am appalled. I mean, you want to talk about crimes against humanity? I mean, these are the ultimate crimes against humanity. They are implanting ideas such as suicidal idealization, homicidal idealization, and so much worse, because they are intentionally manipulating and using dark psychology and weaponizing psychology in order to protect the abuser, because they themselves are abusers. Period.
No. The dads watch this stuff.
They're trained.
They listen to One Mom's Battle. They know the tactics that we say are not. They go, oh, I'll do that. I guarantee it. They know exactly what to do.
I want to go ahead and show the video of Jandy and then have you talk about it. But Bethany, I need you to go widescreen if you don't mind. Just flip your camera. Thank you. Sorry, wrong one. Hang on. I'm trying to find the one with Bethany. Actually, let's play that. This is about the moms. This is how I see all of you moms and all you moms out there. Before I show this video clip, and then I'm going to show the one with Jandy. This is really important. I want you guys to take this to heart, because this is each and every one of you, everyone on this panel tonight, every one of you moms that are watching. This is your power.
Buddy?
Hey, are you okay?
Okay. Oh no. Hey, hey, it's okay.
It's such a depiction of mothers, because we'll take on a bear. That's why they call us mama bears. You know, she chased away the bad, the poor guy, he was coming to help her, but she chased him away too. But then she consoled the child. Like, we can multitask. We have that gift. Let me go ahead and show this video of Jandy.
My mom just spoke to my son on FaceTime, and she took a picture of it and she showed me, and he doesn't even smile anymore. He's been living with the person that he spoke out against, abused him for 10 months now. And because I believe my son, because I know what that person did to me, and I didn't go away because they told me to go away or they would work against me to take my child away, even before they looked at the therapy notes. So they arrested me and created a fake arrest for family violence in Texas, even though I was never arrested. And they took my child away, and they gave him to the person we spoke out against. And we need help, because a grand jury is going to decide next week whether they're going to indict me or not for protecting my child. And so please share this, because I never thought that I would resort or have to come to TikTok to ask strangers to help me, because I've waited 10 months and nobody's done a damn thing.
So, Jandy, go ahead. The floor is yours. What's the update? It's shocking. It's shocking. These mothers can't even believe they have to go through this to protect their own kids. Go ahead. The floor is yours, Penny.
And I've talked to so many mothers, and it seems like it's like a playbook, You come forward with abuse, the abuser counters with parental alienation, and then everything you do, it seems like I went and had a psychological evaluation, and they said that he was a sociopath, but that I was paranoid. That was what I was diagnosed with, being paranoid. Even though I went there with a binder full of evidence of therapist testimony, therapist statements, 5 of them. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I was paranoid. And I guess the therapists were paranoid as well, and it didn't matter how many reports were made, or it didn't, who spoke up for my son. They still, came after me. And the detective, they told me, they said, if you don't go away, we're going to work against you to take the kid away. And they did. They did. They just wanted me to go away, and I wouldn't go away. And I kept talking, and it just kept getting worse. And then when and then the next thing I know, I was arrested. And then I didn't even know what for at the time, and then I found out later that they had created a fake arrest in the system for family violence, and that they did that and then got an emergency protective order against me for sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, stalking, like all this wildness, and so then you're going to come after me with no evidence, even though we have this baby on video, we have therapist testimony, we have all of this, but y'all are going to come after me and get an emergency protective order against me, saying that I did this, and now I have a leg monitor. I'm not allowed to see my son. My mom just talked to him. She talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I almost drowned." He's like, "It happens a lot, Mama," and nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know, like everybody that I tried to get that were supposed to help us, that were put in place to help us, just didn't want to do it. Didn't want to help. You know, like didn't want to deal with it. It was too complicated, and so it just kept getting worse and worse until here we are. You know, and I had enough. I waited for 10 months. I've waited for 10 months to speak out. And I wasn't going to because they threaten you that you're not going to get to see your child again if you speak out. And so you try to do the right thing because you want to be able to have your child at some point. And then you look up a year later or 2 years later or until he's 18 and you haven't seen your child because they just keep them from you. And that's part of the game that they play, you know? And it just seems wild. And you just watch mom after mom, just like Monica, you know, my protective mom friend in New Jersey. You know, she's been arrested 3 times. She doesn't do drugs. She's a good mom. And because her children's school reported abuse on her ex-husband, her children were taken away and given to him full time. And now the police in his town harass her in a different town.
Yes, they do.
They're all
hired sit outside her house for 5 hours. You know, like, how is it that we live in America and I wear an ankle monitor after somebody raped me and hurt my kid, and I have to wear an ankle monitor and go to jail for 3 months? Like, how is this America?
It's absolutely sick. What gets me is that, if you could just mute that for a second because it's giving back feed. What gets me, Jandy, is that the first thing you said, so he was diagnosed as a sociopath, but you were paranoid. Listen, honey, let me just kind of get this straight for a minute. If I'm stuck in the house with a sociopath and I appeared paranoid, I mean, are you freaking kidding me? I'm not paranoid. The sociopath is doing what's called sociopathic things. You know, I don't know, chasing me with a knife. How about staring over? I've heard of them staying over the bed and staring at people while they're trying to sleep. I mean, I don't know. Should that bring a little paranoia? Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know, and the fact that these sociopaths themselves are misdiagnosing people when they don't even have a medical license to do so. Okay, I know you're on the edge of your seat there right now. I see you. Let me show you guys this quick video right here. I love this guy too. And again, here we are honoring another man, a real man.
Something straight. A woman protecting her children from their toxic and abusive father doesn't make her bitter. It makes her a mother.
I love him. I love him. And thank God for these guys who are out there speaking out. He came from a single mother. And he said, if you listen to some of his interviews, I'm sick of hearing this father's rights movement, which are filled with abusive men. It's absolutely filled with abusive men. And the statistics, so you guys know, when you look at the statistics between abuse against women and abuse against men, the high percentage of abuse against men is men on men, and it's generally homosexual men. Okay, it's not women on men. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm sure there's a woman with a frying pan out there every once in a while, but it's men on men. It's not women on men. Okay, let's get it straight. Let's get it facts. And if you're a heterosexual man, why do you want to breastfeed our babies? Why would there be a judge, female or male judge out there, that want to give children that are breastfeeding to a father and take that child, that bond away? Okay, all these things are nurturing. All these things are important for their growth. All these things would carry them over into their teen years, which is so difficult to begin with, especially in the crazy world we live in now. It's so insane. Okay, and it's just destroying them. It's destroying them. They don't come out of this unscathed, even when you get them back. You're dealing with a lifetime of trying to recover them from what they've been through.
But I personally believe that that's what the system is trying to create, because it's going to create that cycle of dysfunction that's going to continue to feed the beast. And that beast includes, you know, drug use, alcoholism, you know, going to prison and all this kind of stuff. And all of that just continues to feed the cash into the system. And I think it's systemically developed this way at this point to completely strip the American ability, every child's ability to truly live in a safe society.
We have a lot
every
more
parent from overseeing their own children. The government wants to parent your children and tell you what to do with your children.
And they can't discipline them the right way, Hannah, right? I want Hannah to talk about the magistrates in Virginia, and I'm going to talk to you guys about some topic that it might be a little bit of a shocker, but did you know that there's no such thing as judicial immunity? So right after this commercial, we're gonna go ahead and talk about that.
We'll be right back after a message from Punished for Protecting Incorporated. Each new generation of protective mothers is shocked when they first go to family court and find it doesn't favor single mothers and is willing to jeopardize children. Francesca's harrowing experience with the broken family court system, from which she finally received justice after 8 months of struggle, is proof that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Francesca has one of these unspeakably cruel cases and has responded by shining a large spotlight on widespread failures so other mothers won't be shocked. Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court by Francesca Amato Banfield, advocate, mother, whistleblower, founder, and TV talk show host of Punished for Protecting. If you are struggling with injustices wrought by our courts, this book will help guide you through the process. Available on Amazon.com. Search Punished for Protecting and get your copy today. Help abolish family court by purchasing Punished for Protecting merchandise. Here are our top sellers. See the link in the YouTube video description to find out how to get your Punished for Protecting t-shirt. Get your high-quality Punished for Protecting t-shirt while supplies last, and let everyone know that you stand for justice. Are you being re-victimized by the family court system? Do you need help with your case? Go online and book a talk with Francesca. Go to punished4beingAparent.com/book-a-talk. Fill in your name, email address, and message to Francesca. Someone will get back to you within 24 hours. Francesca and her staff of volunteers continue to work tirelessly every single day for parents and children who are in need of their help. There have been multiple success stories, including Francesca's, which gives hope to others in similar situations. Punished for Protecting Incorporated has incurred out-of-pocket expenses with zero funding to help families get their children back or to save their children from being taken. We also have provided funds to help with retainers, food, lodging, and travel. We really need your help so we can continue to provide our many services. Any amount is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to donate or sponsor a family in need of help, go to Cash App, Free the Children. And now back to our broadcast.
So Hannah, go ahead and talk about what's happening in Virginia.
There's so much happening in Virginia. And Virginia is, as you've experienced with me, a big offender of the ADA and really the Constitution, most notably recently, the 4th and 5th Amendment. So the things that have been shocking to me lately, besides the fact that the Norfolk Circuit and JDR courts refuse to allow ADA access to litigants, namely me, and just no matter what we tell them about how judges are not subject to immunity when they fail in that administrative capacity, nor is any other officer of the court. They have continued to basically stonewall us. But the Virginia magistrate system, which I knew existed just in name, but I never had experience with it, is quite shocking actually in its construction. It's this space that's carved out by the Virginia legislature whereby, and not to confuse it with other magistrates, there are magistrates that are officers of the court in different states that kind of act in like a more of a judicial capacity. That's not what this is in Virginia. The magistrate system is set up such that they have kind of an office near courthouses, and pretty much anyone can walk in there and say, so-and-so has violated my rights in this way. They're harassing me, let's say. And they name the ways, okay? And without any proof, and I'm not saying some magistrates don't ask for some, but the qualifications do not require proof, is why I'm saying it this way. You raise your right hand and swear that this is true, okay? That generates in them probable cause. And they have the absolute freedom to dispense warrants for people's arrest, summonses for court, and other things at complete, with no oversight, just they're sitting in this little office. I went and filed, my ex-husband violated a protective order 4 different times. So that was my experience with the magistrate. And when I first went to the magistrate, they said, okay, so what was and then they're harder on women than they are on men. And I'm not saying this wrongly. I know this for a fact.
No, it's
I had another mom who literally had an open, obvious violation of a protective order, and the magistrate refused to issue the warrant. Okay, so they have that complete freedom.
Look at that actual evidence, but yet looked at the stupid fake stuff that didn't exist by the man.
Exactly right. So in my case, they said, well, don't you want to see what happened, like what violated the PO? Oh, okay, you can show me, because I just felt better about, isn't this how the process is supposed to go? So I want to say as an aside, which is a fluid aside, due process of law is something that is undergirding all these processes. Okay, so you have any officers of the court, magistrates, they're not attorneys. Some of them maybe, that's not a qualifier. They have some like minimal training. Basically, they're taught to follow the Virginia law on what magistrates can do. So there's that. And basically, they have the absolute authority to say, oh, Bethany seems credible, I'm going to issue a warrant against her friend or whoever. I even talked to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. Virginia's a Commonwealth, like Pennsylvania is. And I'm like, someone help me understand this. How is this even legal? And it's not, by the way. And the Commonwealth Attorney contact I have, I won't say his name, but he's like a really nice guy. He said, I'm going to be honest with you. I could open up a Yellow Pages, so welcome back to 1995, and put my finger on someone's name and go down to the magistrate and say, John Smith has been harassing me. He did this, he did this, he did this. He called me a pedophile. He follows me when I'm not in my car to work, blah, blah, blah. Do you swear this is true? Yes. Okay, do you know his address? We're going to issue a warrant. What the hell is happening?
And they do it.
And they do it. And then they go, oh, you'll have your day in court. Are you kidding me? It's going to cost me thousands of dollars.
If a child discloses physical abuse, I know a specific case, slammed into a bedpost and all kinds of garbage.
Right.
They did nothing.
But that's CPS. Now you're talking about CPS.
That abused children.
So there are all these subdivisions, okay? Like Rhonda and I were kind of spitballing with Francesca before we got on, like getting the angle right and everything. And it's, you know, what that particular topic was about people who coerce or traumatize someone, a loved one or a boyfriend or girlfriend, into committing suicide, right? That is illegal. That gets prosecuted. But what we were talking about is family law has carved out this space, this illegal space that is completely its own subdivision from the rest of the judiciary and every other normal bracketed law that you've ever heard of. And when you tell people about it and when you're experiencing it for the first time, you go, could this be legal? Like, I know the Constitution, and not because I have a master's degree in con law, but because like I just can read the Constitution. I'm not some Dumbo, can't pick it up and read it. They act like you can't be possibly allowed to know anything. If you talk in court about what you know, they're like, oh, are you an attorney? When did you go to law school? Why do I have to go to law school? I can read.
Yeah.
Right. And so my poor
But they hold you to the same
right,
standard
right.
as an attorney.
We are the arbiters of all the knowledge. You press the button and we say so. So
I love when you say that.
I know,
Oh,
because
hell
it's
yeah.
like, what do you
Oh,
mean if I
hell
go to
yeah,
law
great
school?
attorney.
Why would I waste my time and money on going to law school when I can read all the crap I need to know and live all the things? But this is extremely egregious, quite frankly, and this absolute reckless abandon. I'm not saying there aren't responsible magistrates. I'm sure there are. Okay. I don't even think I need to make that disclaimer. We all have at least a modicum of common sense, but the structure of it itself is outrageous. Okay. So a friend of mine was saying, and her husband's an attorney, like, well, it's not designed for people to abuse it. First of all, we have to design things for people that abuse it, because the people that will abuse it will do extreme damage. And we cannot set the standard there. The margin for error can't be that wide. First of all, most people aren't going down to the Virginia magistrate, okay? They really aren't. So actually, the people that are going down there, we probably should be side-eyeing a little bit. But I mean, here we go, just, oh, well, he seemed credible. What? In what other world is anyone saying, all right, he doesn't seem like he's lying? That's what liars do. They seem credible. They're good at lying. It's completely nuts.
Feel the same way about the children disclosing abuse.
Right.
Why
Well,
are
the other thing is that's problematic, and this is where we're digging into. So you've got this whole trajectory. I walk into the magistrate. Now, due process of law is applicable to me, okay, and to whomever I'm accusing, right? And just comforting someone by saying, well, you'll have your day in court. No. That's not even cold comfort. That's not comfort. That's actually a big flip off as far as I'm concerned, because I walk in there. Now I'm some kind of loon, okay, who maybe did the phone book thing. Who the hell knows? Maybe someone's done that. And now my right to get you arrested has usurped every right you have, okay?
Yeah.
This is not even a balance. Like, the pendulum has swung into outer space. I don't even know. Literally, Francesca and I went around and around. We're like, how is this even possible? Like, when we were exposed to the magistrate thing, I was like, okay, help me understand how this is even possible. Okay. And I already lost one friend on Facebook, which is a whatever to me, because I put that post up about the Virginia magistrate system. It's against the ADA. It's against the Constitution. It's against any type of autonomy that the Constitution provides us. So I can just, well, so what? They handcuffed you at your job, or, in front of your kid, or at your house, whatever. No big deal. You get to go to court.
Healthy. Right.
So we treat you like a criminal first. And then don't worry, you'll be able to handle that in court later. Really? Are you going to pay my legal fees?
American judicial system. I mean,
right. Are you going to pay my legal fees? Are you going to give my kid therapy for having watched his mother get arrested for nothing? And then what? I mean, it just doesn't even seem like it's an upside down world.
They're just
like
setting our children up to absolutely hate the system and the officers and the people who are supposed to protect them, because all this is doing is teaching our children that they cannot trust the police. Because I can't tell you how many officers have come to my house, listening to my daughter, looking at the evidence and everything else, and just turn around and walk away and let the abuser go free. So that's all this is doing, is just setting themselves up to fail at the end, because these children will become of age, and these children will be heard, and these children will be the next leaders of this country, and they will not stand silent in this, and they will stand up and they will fight, because these children are our children and they will not be broken, period.
Amen.
No.
Amen. And let me say, I know the stories that Hannah's talking about. I know intricately. I know the people. I know Hannah. So it's like I'm sitting here watching, and children are disclosing horrific abuse every type, and it's okay. It didn't rise to the level of abuse. What are you talking about? Like, whatever happens if you see something, say something, but you say it to these morons? They are a bunch of morons. And then you've got somebody who can go in and literally say, she touched me. Oh my God, get her arrested, get the handcuffs out. Yeah. She touched me like a 5-year-old. She said I was ugly. Oh, go arrest her. But little kids are saying they're being physically assaulted. 911 is being removed from the house so they can't call 911. That's a crime. But they don't care about that. He violated 4 to 10 times, I think it was, a protection order. That would have been an arrest anywhere else. Even crazy New York would have arrested somebody for that one. Not in Virginia. I've never seen it. And here's the thing, like, Pennsylvania's got its set of insanity. Arizona's got its set of insanity. West Virginia's got its set of insanity. Virginia's got its set of insanity. They have these like sections of insanity. I don't know how else to say it. The things that we fight, sitting here fighting for rights that we already have. I say it all the time. That's why I say there is no such thing as judicial immunity, because you can't violate the Constitution. You can't violate the Articles of Human Rights, and you can't violate the Americans with Disability Act because you don't have immunity. And that's what they're violating every day by giving themselves this fake pseudo immunity that does not exist. They wrote it in to their own little structure. This is not a broken damn system. This is a filthy, disgusting, demonic, evil system that was built to destroy. That's what it's there for, because it's bringing in trillions of dollars, not millions, not billions, trillions, multi-trillions of dollars on the backs of your children. That's what it's doing. That's what it's doing. And we have one more sociopathic, psychotic politician, mayor, governors, attorneys, attorney generals. All of these people are delusional in the real diagnosis of the words. Delusional. One crazier judge than the next. I want to play this video for you guys. This is another one. Here we go. And you can't argue with all the comments coming up with all these mothers too, by the way.
Hospitals to keep me quiet because I was old enough to know what to talk about, and that they were lying to me. In the beginning, they always wanted me to lie for them, but I refused to, and they were trying to adopt me out so they could get money. So I wrote a letter stating that I will not be adopted and that they may not change my name. That's when the lies started happening. So, they've pretty much got my brother because he believed their lies, but I'm speaking against them and exposing what they have done. Not very long ago, they sent me to St. Helena's mental health facility for youth, and it was very provocative, very explicit what they did. It was that they took away all my rights, and they would state that juveniles in the facility have no rights. They told me I had no rights. When they took me in on the ambulance, they were wheeling me in, and they told me that they were going to take all my clothes off. I told them they had no permission to do that. So they took drugs, which some people call booty juice, and they injected it into me and made me sedated. But I was still half awake. They took all my clothes off of me and strapped me down to bed naked. They put a catheter in me, and they would not feed me. They hooked me up to an IV. And anytime I would ask them, they wouldn't listen to me. They kept me in a room with cameras in it, but if we were to expose this, they'd probably cut the film out. Somebody saw this though. Her name was Amelia. She was in the same unit as me, and I knew her from past experiences being there. Amelia saw them through the window what they were doing to me because she saw me come in, and she peeked to see if I was there. And she saw 2 male mental health workers and a female nurse taking off my clothes and tying me to a bed while I was screaming. And when I was out of the solitary confinement, or quiet room is what they call it, she was telling me what they were doing, and they told us we cannot talk in group. The next morning, they sent her to LA.
Wow, that's terrible. Did anything happen in a place in the location of Vallejo?
Vallejo, yeah, that's St. Helena's.
Oh, okay.
I feel like they may have raped me, but I would not know because I wasn't really awake. I remember bits and parts, but I don't remember the whole thing because they tried to sedate me with the medicine.
Ashley, how do you feel about your mom completing her case plan over 2 years ago and the courts and CPS not complying with their own rules to return you and your brother to your parents? Were you aware that your mom had proved in small claims court with paper trail evidence that she had completed her case plan and in good standing, and they didn't return you and your brother to your mom and or your parents? How do you feel about that?
That is correct, but they did not tell me or my siblings of any of the case, really. Tony O'Carey lied to me. He was a social worker, and he told me she did not complete her classes, and they also told me her parental rights were taken, which they weren't. He's lied about a lot of things. I think he was working with the foster parent, Millie Coleman, to get my brother adopted in the beginning, because she only wanted my brother. which is why they kept sending me to group homes, because that was the easiest way to get rid of me.
Ashley, would you share with people what happened to Millie's husband when he was, and why he's not currently there?
Oh yeah. When I came back from St. Mary's Hospital in San Francisco around May, and I came back and I wasn't allowed to go upstairs where the rooms were. They took everything out of the room and had just a bed and a few t-shirts for me to change into. And I asked him, "Why are you doing this? Do you even accept what she's doing? Do you agree with this?" And he looked at me and he shook his head and he said that he doesn't want to talk about it and that he needs to take space in his room, and he left. But he knows what I'm talking about. I know he does. That's why they have possibly gotten a divorce, because I think I guilted him a little bit on what he understands with me and Millie.
So, Ashley, do you believe that Mr. Coleman left Millie Coleman, the foster parents, because Mr. Coleman believed you and that he didn't want any part of what was going on after understanding that?
Mr. Coleman, I don't think he just believed me. I think he knew exactly what I meant, and I don't think he wants part in this. I think that's why he left.
Ashley, are there some other things that you would like to share about your case with the people that you feel it were allegations, lies, or?
Well, recently I've had communication with my aunt in Colorado, and I know from past that when my sister went to visit her dad in Arizona, they told me that she was coming back, but they lied to me. They left her in Arizona. Recently, when I've had contact with my aunt, they were planning that I visit Colorado for Christmas vacation. They were going to keep me there because my aunt slipped and told me a little bit about what they were going to do and how she has the room set up and everything. I believe they're doing this because I'm opening my mouth and exposing what they are doing and not following what they want me to do.
So she's a brilliant child, and it's absolutely beyond heart-wrenching. It's beyond. Okay, but she's not an isolated case. That's the sickest part about this. This is an ongoing horror that's going on. This is why they don't want to be exposed for their sick ways. Absolutely sick ways, so.
And that's Vallejo, California.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from. I am disgusted.
I'm beyond disgusted. It's disgusting. I hope this little girl's okay. I don't know where she is now. But, we see this, we're seeing constant, these kids are speaking out, thank God. They're speaking out, and she's brilliant. I mean, she's just so smart.
Yeah.
And so traumatized.
He's saying Rockland Children's Psychiatric Center, that's one of them, Connors Residential Treatment Center. They're everywhere. All right, this is sick, and the judges are they're lining their pockets with this. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. We have more. Hang on to your seats.
Matt,
They are
I want
intentionally
to show this to you. You're
trying
a parent,
to
right?
silence these children.
Okay, it's perfectly normal for 10 years and up. Here's just one page I want you to see here.
For 10 and up, huh?
It's unspeakable what these people have done to our children.
When did that start? When was it decided that we need to start teaching kids about this stuff at such a young age?
So I'll answer that with one word: Kinsey. Kinsey was a social reformer. He wanted to rid society of Judeo-Christian values when it came to sexuality. And he worked very hard to do that, and I would say
He believed that true happiness is found in a life of perverse sexual experimentation, no matter the age.
What came out is that his research was fraudulent.
Kinsey based his fraudulent conclusions on data he collected from convicted sex offenders and child molesters. His research was conducted in prisons, not everyday America. He also performed horrific sexual experiments on children, some under the age of 1. His most influential book, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, contains an infamous chart called Table 34 which documents the orgasms of very young kids, including babies as young as 5 months old. But instead of suffering the consequences for his heinous actions, he was and still is celebrated by academia and Hollywood. His ideas form the foundation for sexual education in public schools today. How do we get from this to you can choose your own gender?
Okay, well, now we have another very important character, and his name was John Money.
John Money was a psychologist and professor at Johns Hopkins University. Gender ideology was his brainchild. In fact, he coined the terms gender identity and gender roles. And according to Money, babies are gender neutral at birth, and ultimately environment determines whether a person is a man or a woman.
Money was telling the world about his theory that a boy could be raised as a girl and do just fine, and vice versa.
And so Money tried out his theory on 2 young twin boys, the Reimer twins.
When the twins were 8 months old and they went to be circumcised, the first twin, whose name was Bruce, something went wrong with the machinery and his penis was burnt off. They stopped and didn't do a second circumcision on the other twin, as you might imagine. And the parents, of course, didn't know what to do. How are they going to raise this child?
John Money convinced Bruce's parents to transition him into a girl. Money also conducted sexually abusive experiments on the twins throughout their childhood, including forcing them to simulate sex acts on each other.
He reported up to the age of 10 that this was a complete success. Well, wasn't true.
The results were a disaster. Bruce could never fully accept his female identity. Eventually, his parents told him the truth, and he chose to transition back to a boy, taking the name David. As an adult, David spoke out about the abuse and the damage done to him by John Money.
The girls would do their things with their Barbies and things like that, and that wouldn't interest me. And things such as trucks and building forts and, getting to the odd fist fight and climbing trees, that's the kind of stuff that I like, but it was unacceptable, so I'd never...
As a girl?
As a girl, I had no place to fit in.
The trauma that he and his brother and his entire family went through left deep scars. His brother died of an overdose when he was 38, and then David committed suicide.
There was never a retraction or an apology from John Money. Instead, his ideas were adopted by mainstream psychology, and they form the basis of gender ideology today. Why don't more people know about John Money and Alfred Kinsey?
Evidently, there are forces that don't want this information out.
So you got Kinsley, you got Money, and you got Dr. Richard Gardner. Okay, this is what's the building blocks of the family court psychopathic, delusional, fake court system. Okay, and listen, we obviously are crazy, because why would we protect children from that type of vile abuse? We must be crazy. We must be crazy. So there you have it, right there. There you have it. There you have it. And
it's the demise of society is what they're trying to do. And once they can control the mind of a child, they can control the destiny of whatever New World Order craziness that they're trying to push. It's disgusting.
All of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Rhonda.
The Kinsey Institute is still in existence.
It is.
Where those experiments took place. It still exists. How, with cancel culture canceling everything else, why has that not been canceled?
Why would they? Not a part of the agenda loves this. The agenda loves this. It just wants to cancel free speech, free thinking.
Well, that's why they tried to cancel that Matt Walsh clip. I mean, I'm not a big Matt Walsh supporter anymore because he supported Johnny Depp, but I understand the substance of what he's doing. And a lot of people tried to cancel Matt Walsh for doing that movie, What is a Woman, or whatever it's called. I knew about Kinsey. I didn't know about the other guy. But no, the quickest way to destroy a society is to go for the family, for the sacredness of sex and being an innocence. And so we're watching that erosion. And it's more of an erosion. It's like a wrecking ball. And then we glorify these things, like Hollywood glorifies these things, pedophilia and other things. And so here we are.
Well, and these Hollywood people that, you know, are you can see how they've completely lost their minds. They're completely sold out demonically. But a lot of them were brought onto, I don't know if people understand this, it's way deeper than what you even see or what you've even gotten some understanding of with the Epstein Island stuff. Some of these people, once they start to expose or not like what's happening, they're brought there to be reprogrammed. It's really sick stuff.
Or they get murdered, or they just get suicided.
And all that.
To your mother. Yeah, you're a lying psychopath is what they said. And then they're like, even when I first came in.
How could you put a child through something so horrific? By telling them that the abuse that they suffered is lies, that they're sociopaths. That is just degrading. It's inhumane. It's disgusting. And these children deserve justice. They deserve to be heard. Do not silence them. Stop silencing these beautiful children who are going through traumatic tragedy. Putting them in these reunification camps and abusing them more. These are children who suffered abuse on top of abuse. We hear you, Maya. We hear you, Sebastian. And we stand with you. And we stand with all children suffering from the same thing.
It's just crazy. And I have a few videos. I just want to make sure we get through them before we talk some more, because I want the audience to see, you know, you can see all these different people. I mean, I could have gotten videos for days on end, days and weeks on end, because there's so much of this. It's so prevalent.
State of Utah versus Chad Pither.
There was also a divorce action pending between Mr. Pither and Miss Merrill. At some point, Mr. Pither, through Ron Wilkinson and in front of Commissioner Peterson, was then allowed to have supervised visits, and part of that was maybe because of these charges being filed, is why all of a sudden it changed to supervised visits in December of 2020. Pending action here in the Provo District Court for divorce and custody. It is something he is willing to pay for. At this point, I just don't know the need for a pretrial protective order as it pertains to Liam. They separated in January of 20, started going through divorce court somewhat.
Mr. Pither, raise your right hand, take an oath to tell the truth. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the proceeding now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You've heard the proffer of Mr. Easton. Is what he's told me accurate?
Correct.
Is there anything you want to correct?
No, Your Honor.
You know, if you misrepresent in court, it's a felony. You can go to prison for that. Understanding those sanctions, anything you want to change today?
No, Your Honor.
And I will authorize Mr. Pither to receive supervised visits through ACAFs consistent with the order in the domestic case.
Mr. Pither is using the family court as a way to harass and retaliate against Ms. Merrill for fighting these charges. He said he would, and he did. And that is what he's doing. And we think the protective order is necessary to stop him from trying to use the minor child to control Ms. Merrill and in ways to try to get improperly influence the proceedings in these criminal cases.
Just one sick and one sick.
I know that.
Whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true. I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true. I will rescue you. I hear the whisper.
That right there is Monica's daughter. And this is how she has to, how to see her. Now she's Monica in jail, arrested on crazy warrants that I saw that made no sense at all. No judicial signature, absolutely insane. But this is what we're looking at. We're looking at children that look like that. Okay, we're looking at children that look like that. Why are you doing this to children's childhoods? It's hard enough to grow. Disgusting. This is my final video. We're gonna have a wrap session before we close.
Unfortunately, my abusive father did not have to pay for the camp that he used to buy back the custody of my sister and I. And actually, the court allowed him to sue my mom for the cost of the camp and much, much more than that. So these camps are specifically designed to financially ruin the protective parent so that they're not able to protect their kids in family court. And so what these camps do is after the workshop has ended and the kids are fully living with the abuser, they force the safe parent to write a letter stating that they claim full responsibility and they admit to alienating the kids. And so this letter has to be written in a very specific way or the camp leaders will not accept it. And the camp leaders continue to hold the kids hostage until the safe parent has written the letter in exactly the way that they want it. I do want to say here that even if the safe parent does everything right, the camps and the aftercare specialists have been known to keep the kids away from the safe parent for months and even years after the camp has ended. And this way, the aftercare specialist makes more money because they're seeing the kids weekly, and the abusive parent gets the full custody that they wanted. The court also makes a lot of money off of this process. So the camps force the safe parent to write this letter in a very specific way because then it's used as evidence in court for the abusive parent to sue the safe parent for the cost of the camp, which can be up to $10,000 a day, usually for 4 days, the cost of the hired kidnappers, the cost of transportation and lodging for the camp leaders, and lawyers' fees for the abusive parent, and really just anything the abusive parent can think of to add on to that list. So these camps allow abusers full unfettered access to their kids while also continuing the post-separation abuse against their ex, the safe parent, and it's at no cost to the abuser.
So who wants to touch on some of these? Who wants to talk about it?
The case out of Utah, I know this case very well. I've seen all the evidence. It's the most disgusting case at Utah at this point. Those are the two most dangerous individuals involved in many of the cases out of Utah. Mr. Ron Wilkinson is by far the most dangerous lawyer in the state of Utah right now. His hands involved in many, many different parts of all of this. If you follow the paper trail on him, it's so deep. The last young lady, I've actually spoken with her as well about the reunification camp. She's a brilliant little child, young woman. And these letters that they're forcing these children to write, are just all used as tactics to continue to cover up their lies in court. And it's just asinine. And I tell people all the time, do not sign a letter, do not write the letter, do not engage in the behavior. The minute these reunification therapists start demanding the letter, stand your ground and do absolutely nothing of the sort, because that's 100% what they're trying to use to strip you of your rights, period.
I mean, these are a couple of these kids that we see that are speaking out. They're strong, but what about the ones that are not strong at all? They're terrified. They're being forced into, I talk about this all the time. Like, you got little girls that are being, whatted by their dads, and then they're told that they have to reunify with them. So what does that tell them when they grow up? You can do anything you want to me, and it's okay, and I'm not going to report because it's all okay. This is all okay. This is not
the
okay.
grooming. It's the grooming of our children.
No, this is not okay. There's nothing okay about this. So write a book, speak out, yell at the top, stand on your roof and yell with a megaphone. This is not okay. This is not acceptable. You do not have to accept it. And these are major, major serious violations of human rights. Major sick violations. It's absolutely sick. Absolutely sick. I think they did finally get some of the laws passed where they're ending the reunification camps in California. Something passed very recently. I think it was a day or two ago. Something, or it's just making it through the channel. I don't know if anybody knows about that, but I mean, it's just sick. But that's what they're doing anyway. Even if they're not sticking them in camps, they're forcing them to live with their abusers and just stay away from mom. And there was two little boys, a boy and a girl. I didn't get it in time. I was trying to get it off of TikTok, and it went. You know how sometimes when TikTok, you're watching it and then just like spins. I don't know if this happened to you before. And I lost it, but there's another little girl and boy that are speaking out against their mom because they forced them into a reunification camp. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars to force them to be with their mom. And in that case, she was abusive. They were saying she was abusive. It's just sick. It's just sick. Just sick. What else? Does anybody else want to say anything before we wrap tonight?
I think that Catherine's voice has been heard finally, but look what it took to get there.
Yeah.
It's shameful.
Well, and it's also, look at how many people are coming up and still trying to vilify her and refusing to look at the evidence. So once again, it continues to show the deep psychopathy within society.
Well, let me tell you, that father's rights movement has to die. It literally needs to be shut down completely. If somebody needs to be canceled, it's that. Because there's some of them that, I mean, it's a bunch of abusers. And unfortunately, we do have a very serious mental health crisis in our country to begin with, okay, from people being abused. And then they grow into adults that abuse others, okay, because they never got the help that they needed. And the courts perpetuate all of this. The courts, fuel it and give it life. Okay, so they actually encourage abusers to become more further abusers. Why wouldn't you? You're getting rewarded for being an abuser. So it's a very mixed message of insanity that's happening. So we literally need to keep women, mothers. You need to keep speaking out. Good dads, those fathers that we had, the men that we had today. That we showed these videos. Men like that, keep cheering them on, because there are great men out there. I have a family.
There's a lot of great men out there in this movement trying to help us.
Yeah. And we have sons. Some of us have sons that we're raising to be good fathers and husbands one day. Okay. Not to abuse women out there and to choose wisely too, so keep doing what you're doing. Single homes, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, obviously that's not ideal. Okay. I'm not saying, I'm not encouraging that, but you need to be safe. And children fare very, very well in one single parent household when they live with that stability, discipline, love, and safety. Okay. When they're being popped back and forth from abuser to safe, or mentally abusive and safe, that's not a healthy childhood, and it leads to problems in the future. Okay. So what else? Anybody else? Jandy, Hannah, anything you want to say?
No, I was a little overwhelmed and I've seen all those videos, but it was to see them in succession and actually sit still. It actually made me feel pretty emotional, to be honest with you.
It's very emotional.
And I'm feeling, and I'm like, you ladies, obviously you're on your different, things come in waves. So I'm kind of in a peak right now, not a valley, just in my own life. So, that just filtering it through everything. But I really want to say too, like, I don't want to forget to say, and I know that all you ladies would agree with me, that the message here isn't just information and knowledge, which is important, especially if you're someone that's just coming in to family court. And of course, we've all been there, like, what is happening? You know, you feel the rhythm of it. It seems so wrong. And how can this be happening? And then the thing, Jandy said it, and I know your story, Jandy. The more she did, the worse it got. It's that same rhythm. Everybody says it. Like you said, it's a playbook. But I don't want people, and I feel a little bit weary myself sometimes too, but there's no reason to lose hope, especially because of there are a lot of people fighting for the things, like Francesca said, that we already know are ours. And there's a lot of people, men and women, linking arms in this and fighting for the rights that we already have and speaking out. And I can tell you with certainty, and maybe not as quick as we want, but that those things do have an impact. It is very systemic, and like Bethany was describing, the undergirding of this is extremely wicked. But there's never a reason to lose hope, or none of us would be doing the things we're doing, right? So I want to make sure I put that out there, because it's true, and I don't want anyone to despair because of the things we're saying. And they're all true. It's still important to say it because they are true. These things are true, and worse things are true. We just would have to sit here for 7 hours and say them all. But there's also a lot of people working to expose these things and change this, and we all care about kids and families. We're not going to stop.
Yeah, I mean, we're fighting an evil system. There's no question, but God is bigger, stronger, and greater than all of this. We stay in it very diligently. We don't stop because we have that faith. You know, you can call it a blind faith, but I have such a real relationship with the living God. And I know that these success stories all the time. You know, when I see certain times I see somebody getting really, really attacked in ways that like it just seems completely impossible. I literally have to say, God, I can't do this. I cannot do this. Okay. I cannot. This obviously I can't anyway, but when we do that and we let it go to him, he gets in there and he creates and does what he does best. And all of a sudden we're like, oh wow, something just great came out of that case, you know, or why were they being attacked like that? What is God looking for in our individual lives? He is looking for stuff in us. He is doing stuff. He's doing a work within us individually, you know, all through history. If you go back to biblical history and just history of mankind, you're going to see people went through persecution. They went through things. Evil does exist in the world. You're foolish if you don't see that. Yeah. If you don't believe, you can clearly see there's evil in the world. Okay. And you got to be able to counter it with something. And I know that God is great because I went through this myself and I see what he did. And without his miracles, I would not be where I am today. You know, I took a vicious attack from a judge and created it God created it into all of this that you see behind me and into this amazing, I call it a ministry, you know, where we're helping people. We may not be, you know, behind a pulpit, but we're in the nitty gritty. We are in the literal trenches of doing what needs to be done because children's lives need to be saved in this country and adults as well, not just kids, but they are the next generation. And, you know, if I don't understand how parents don't get in this fight and fight harder sometimes, you know, I don't understand how, you know, I know when I went through it, there was no word or there's no option to give up. It wouldn't even be in my, it just doesn't, not in me. I'm not created that way. Okay. I'm going to fight for my own and your children. I cannot stop fighting for those. So, and I know that at the end of the day, we've seen major results. We've seen the most demonic, sick, evil attacks and God come through over and over and over again. I wouldn't be doing this for over 15 plus years if I didn't see successes. And I do see successes. It'd be much easier for me to go get a 9-to-5 job and get paid every week and know that I had a paycheck coming in every week. Okay. So, you know, I hope that encourages somebody. We have to show these horror stories. We unfortunately have to because it's real. It's existing. It's happening. It happens every day. Okay. But we can't down and die. That's not an option. Okay. You have to get up. I look at Bethany every day and she reminds me of me in a sense. And only in Boston with the Boston accent. And I got the New York guy. But you know, it's like, I see you out there every day. I mean, I can see the grief on your face when you're on those TikToks every day, you know, and you're doing your thing and I'm proud of you. And, you know, Hannah, every day, she's in the battle right now while she's battling for others. And that's amazing to me. You know, Rhonda is out there. She's like, come on, what do you say every day on Facebook? You don't say prove me. You say prove me wrong.
My mind.
What is it?
Change my mind.
Yeah, change my mind. Change my mind. You know, and you're in the thick of it right now, but you've had a couple of good things happen recently, right? A lot of stuff wasn't a lot of stuff dropped, or did I get you confused with somebody else? Wasn't a lot of the nonsense just recently dropped or something?
Yeah.
Look at the kitty.
Yeah.
Can't talk about.
Well, I tell people I work for God these days. And I think
Yes,
we all work for God
seriously.
these days. Because this is a spiritual
clearly-
warfare going on.
He's
And
the only
God's gonna
reliable
win.
employer.
That's
Yes.
right. I work for him. I save
God.
babies.
But when I think
I
about
feel
the
like throughout this process that I've found my true path or my right calling.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Be a part of
undoubtedly, undoubtedly.
for us to speak out. You know, I mean, everybody is worried about, you know, judicial prosecution. Everybody is. You know, you're worried about getting in trouble. You know, but there's more of
Yeah.
us than there are of them. At this
There
point.
are.
That's right.
There's so many of us,
Are.
and people don't realize it because we're threatened if we speak out. And I think that it's, you know, I feel the tide changing where people are tired of, you know, just hiding the secrets of people that are profiting off of these children. They're just tired of it.
Exposing is like the Bible says that we are to take every dark deed of darkness and expose it into the light.
Yep.
So you have no idea what seems so like, oh, did I just do something supernatural and powerful? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Okay, because that's what the Bible says to do. So take every deed of darkness and expose it into the light. That's what we're doing right now. Every time we talk about it, you know, but don't go in there in fear, because like I said, we've been there, done that. We are that mama bear that when the bear came against us, which is what we see in front of us, we're screaming right back, and our voice has more power and authority than that bear that ran away. Okay, so don't think it can't happen, because it does happen, and it happens every single day, every moment. It's like, you know, Catherine Casanov is working with God. I think
Yes,
that's
she
why.
is. Yes, she is. And just know she's the biggest guardian angel we have looking down on us in this fight right now. And it's
Yes.
our job to channel her voice and to channel her rage.
And Senator Schaefer and Senator Nancy Schaefer, literally we're picking up the baton and going with that wonderful, wonderful woman, that wonderful, wonderful woman. And thank you, Dawn. And Dawn is a prayer intercessor and warrior, and she's been praying for me for a long time. And I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. But just know, you know, if you think that you live in a world and that you think you could just get by and think that God doesn't exist or God doesn't love you, which is a big lie, which is, you know, God isn't whatever, you know, God is this man in the sky, whatever you want to say, you couldn't be more wrong. Okay. Because people or religion or, you know, false pastors and all this crazy making, and it's just getting worse by the hour as the days go by and the seconds go by. There is a real God that loves you. There's a real God that died on a cross for our sins. There's a real God that resurrected from the dead. He ascended into heaven, and he's all power. He's all love. And I'm just going to tell you guys, if you think you can get through this without him, you are sadly mistaken. Take some time, even ask him to show you if he's real. I promise you he will. He will, because I could not do this without him. I cannot do my existence every day and what I do and dealing with these stories all day long, all night long, all weekend long, while I'm living my life at the same time, raising a child who went through this too, okay, without God, without Jesus Christ, without his blood, without all that he's done for us. Okay, they've changed some of the word, the Bible, they've changed some of the words, but if you receive him into your heart, I promise you, you will comprehend that Bible. It will be completely foreign to you until you receive him into your heart. If you do, that it'll just come to life for you, and you will be amazed. You will be amazed. It's not fun living in this life without God by your side. It's not. It's not. But with him, you're going to be amazed at how much your life changes. And it doesn't mean that adversity isn't going to come against you. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be persecuted. That doesn't mean that. Okay. You will be, because if he was, we will. Right. But it does mean that he's going to take you through it. And there's not a battle that he can't win. And that there's not a battle that he won't win. And this is one of them. And he is winning it. Okay, I stand in front of these judges every day, and I used to be afraid of them. I don't even flinch. They don't faze me at all. It's like this joy just rises up in me. And when there's attacks coming, and Hannah sees it, when there's attacks coming and there's more blah, 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 and all this mutter and confusion and insanity that comes around us, God just gives me this peace, because I know that we have authority over all of it, but He wants you to get it and get a hold of it and grab a hold of it. Okay, we have to rescue these children. That's our calling. That's all of our calling. Okay. There's nobody out here that's going to be exempt from that. You have to. Okay. You have to rescue your neighbor's kids and the delusional people that are out there that are trying to raise them for you. Okay. That's how important they are. You have to understand that the devil wants our kids from the time they're in your belly till they're 18 and over. He wants our kids. And you can just be that mama bear and say, no, that's not happening. It doesn't matter what deception is out there. So I'm off my soapbox now. Does anybody have anything else they want to say before we wrap?
I do. Fear. Fear is what they're using to control you. That is why I've kind of made a point of, like I filed 3 motions this morning. One of them, I put hashtag I am Catherine right under the same.
I saw that.
I did. They rejected my email. I did do 3 cover sheets with an email that says family court is corrupt as hell at gmail.com.
Yes.
You kept the email address.
I kept it on, and matter of fact, where is it? It's right here. I can't show the information, but they gave me a written one to do. Mine looked better than that. Come on. But please,
wow.
Family court's going to do what family court's going to do anyway. Being afraid is going to do nothing but make it worse on you. So mama bears, be that mama bear and realize these are your babies. Never agree to anything. They love to try to get you into these consent agreements and these waiving of your rights and everything else. No, you stand up and you fight. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Fight all day long. That's what I tell my women. Fight. Put those bootstraps on, tighten them up, because we in war, ladies, and it's time to go.
And that's how they stop.
That's what we're doing to the judges. Well, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. What a warrior bunch. I mean, you guys are just amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. We are working behind the scenes, guys that are watching, for a We Are Catherine bill, and working with both congressionally and New York State. It's going to start happening within the next few weeks, obviously, because they just ended the last session. So just keep in mind, we are listening to what everybody's saying to bring in what we're going to plan on doing. Without saying too much or divulging too much here tonight, we will keep you guys informed as we continue to move forward. But it's going to be several different types of bills. And as you know, I'm the abolish arrest girl. I want it done. And I'm going to start, part of what we're going to be doing with the bills is forcing mandated Americans with Disability Act, Constitution, and human rights, as well as anybody that causes someone to commit, it needs to be tried for murder. That's the bottom line. And that includes judges. Okay. Number one, judges. Shame on all of you judges. There's a whole book in the Bible called Judges. If you don't think you're going to be judged one day, you are so sad, so delusional. If you don't think you're going to be judged one day for the judging that you did, for the wrong judging that you did, because there's a righteous judging, and a wrong judging, and the type of judging that you judges are doing, shame on you. You should be embarrassed for yourselves. They're making $200,000 and $300,000 a year to destroy children and families. Okay, no wonder they do every drug and alcohol that there is. All right, because how else their consciences are gone. They're out there somewhere. So, but the time is coming. The time is coming. I do not believe for one second that we did all the work that we've done for nothing. I know for a fact that powerful things are coming.
Yes, they are.
So, all right, everybody. So I guess we are going to wrap this up. I thank everyone for watching. I thank you for this panel that has been here tonight. I know you guys have been through hard times, but I know that good stuff is coming. I know it. And I just appreciate all your knowledge on the show tonight, and everyone that's watched this. If you didn't get to see it from the beginning, go back and watch it. And really, 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 really importantly, share it publicly and share it in your messenger. Kind of send them out as much as you possibly can, because people need to be educated if they don't know what's actually happening. So again, thank you everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. We did have a longer show than usual because I felt it was important. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.